Good day, everyone. Today I will discuss the lesson 5 in environmental marketing, which is the cultural factors. In this chapter, we'll look the cultural factors that should be considered in analyzing your target market and your existing customers. According to Cannon and McCarthy, the cultural and social environment affects how and why people live and behave as they do, which affect customer buying behavior and eventually the economic, political, and legal environment. Many variables make up the cultural and social environment. Some examples are the languages people speak, the type of education they have, their religious beliefs, what type of food they eat, the style of clothing and housing they have, and how they view work, marriage, and family. There are basic characteristics of culture. One is culture is learned. Culture is not inherited genetically, but must be learned and acquired. Culture is learned through both direct instruction and observation. Second is culture is socially shared. It cannot exist by itself but must be based on social interaction and creation. Culture, out of necessity, must be based on social interaction and creation. It cannot exist by itself, it must be shared by members of a society. Third is a culture is subjective. People in different culture often have different ideas about same product. It is often has basis in reality but reflects the perspective through which the speaker views reality. It cannot be verified using concrete facts and figures. Another is culture is enduring because of culture is shared and passed down from generation to generation. It is relatively stable and somewhat permanent. No culture is greater than another, however, there are cultures whose legacies and gifts to humankind have endured. Enduring cultures have withstood the test of time, their legacies are timeless. Culture is cumulative. It is based on series of accumulated circumstances. As a result, its general adds something on its own to the culture before passing the heritage to the next generation. Meaning culture become cumulative because it's growing hold which include itself the achievement of the present and the past and the make provision for the future achievement of man. And lastly, the culture is dynamic. It passes from generation to generation. Therefore, is subject to change as adapt itself to new situation and new sources of knowledge. Cultures are dynamic system that responds to motion and action within and around them. When one element within the system shift or changes, the entire system strives to adjust, just as it does when outside force applies pressure. A culture must be flexible enough to allow such adjustment in face unstable or changing circumstances. There are several dimensions of culture. Language differences can be challenged for marketers. Structured system of communication used by humans. Languages consist of spoken sounds in spoken languages or written elements in written languages. Additionally, a language may consist of other symbolic elements like hand gestures in sign languages. Another dimension of culture is religion, provides the best insight in society behavior and helps answer the question why people behave rather than how they behave. Religion is a social cultural system of designated behavior and practices, moral, worldviews, texts, sanctified places, purposes, ethics, or organization that relates humanity to supernatural and spiritual element. Another dimension is aesthetic, refers to the ideas in a culture concerning beauty and good taste as expressed in the art such as music, art, drama, dance, and particularly appreciation of color. Another is values. The role of values in society is dictate what is acceptable and unacceptable. Values are the motive behind purposes of action. They are the ends which we act and come in many forms. Personal values are personal beliefs about right and wrong and may or may not be considered moral. Cultural values are values accepted by religious and societies and reflect what is important in each context. Another is customs and taboos. All culture have their own unique sets of customs and taboos. It is important for marketers to learn about these customs so that they will know what is acceptable and unacceptable for their marketing program. Education refers to the transmission of skills, ideas, and attitude as well as training in particular discipline. Education is the process of facilitating learning or acquisition of knowledge, skills, values, moral beliefs, and habits. Educational methods include teaching, training, storytelling, discussion, and directed research. Social organizations refers to the way of people relate to each other. For example, extended families, units, and kinship. A social organization is a pattern of relationship between and among individual and social groups. Characteristic of social organization can include qualities such as sexual composition, cohesion, leadership, structure, division of labor, communication system, and so on. Another is demographic data. Understanding the demographic dimension is also important to marketing strategy planning. So it's useful to look at some demographic pattern and trends. Demographic data is statistical data collected about the characteristic of the population. Example is the age, gender, and the income, for example. Material culture. Before marketing in foreign culture, it is important to assess the marketing culture like transportation, power, communication, and so on. We have promotional strategies for marketing across culture. Communication adaptation, this involves changing marketing communication for each local market. And the dual adaptation, this involves adapting both the product and the communication features to suit local preferences. And that's all for our lesson 5. Thank you.